Ahí te guacho. Do you remember Pixar's Ratatouille? It was an animated movie about a talking rat that helps an awkward busboy become a world-class chef in Paris. It won an Oscar, a Golden Globe, an Annie, and a BAFTA for Best Animated Film in 2008. It even won a Grammy for its soundtrack, for reasons I don't know.
Really? Wow! Was Ratatouille really that good? What was the competition like in 2007?
Jerry Seinfeld, Renee Zellweger. DreamWorks B-Movie.
Oh, I see!
Well, perhaps you also remember the villain from Ratatouille, Chef Skinner, who schemes to undermine the integrity and the literal spirit of his restaurant by promoting a line of tasteless frozen dinners. At the time I thought, wow, that really is the worst thing a famous chef could do to ruin the integrity of their brand. Frozen dinners are, in my experience, usually pretty gross, and I can't imagine a worse way for a top chef to discredit himself faster than by associating himself with factory-made slop that you have to heat up in a microwave. TV dinners are essentially the exact opposite of what a great restaurant experience is supposed to be. I want to have to schedule a reservation and then agonize over my chosen time slot weeks in advance. I want to have to wear uncomfortable dry clean only attire and then drive across town in traffic, pay $20 to park my car only to be immediately abused by a snobby waiter. I want to wait around for 25 minutes just so that I can pay $120 more for two people to eat a couple of breadsticks and some scallops covered in parsley sauce. And best of all, I want to leave so hungry that I'm forced to reheat leftover pizza the moment I get home. On second thought, you know what? The great restaurant experience kind of sucks. But at the very least I can say, I know what good food is supposed to taste like. I know food, and so does renowned celebrity chef Gordon Ramsay. And despite his legitimate Michelin star credentials, Ramsay's no snob. He consistently promotes simple, fresh, high-quality food over and against the traditional pretense and formality of so-called fine dining. For example, Gordon Ramsay frequently flaunts his love of In-N-Out Burger for its use of fresh, unfrozen ingredients and simple commitment to getting the basics just right.
Last burger I had was In-N-Out Burger. They cut the fries by hand, they cut them in front of you. The burger was delicious, to be honest.
I agree with Chef Ramsay. In-N-Out Burger really is my ideal of a great restaurant experience. They have great customer service, fast waiting times, clean dining rooms, and a guy out in the parking lot stabbing the windows with a knife. And most importantly, simple, fresh, unfrozen food that always tastes great without costing a lot of money. I love In-N-Out Burger. It's everything a good meal ought to be, and it's everything a frozen TV dinner just ain't. Just look at this slop and compare it to a double-double animal style and tell me what you think. Personally, I wouldn't give this stuff to my worst enemy. This thing here is an insult to the very concept of food itself. And yet, to my astonishment, what did I discover at the grocery store the other day? But Gordon freaking Ramsay was promoting a line of TV dinners. Has Gordon Ramsay cashed out? Like Chef Skinner from Ratatouille? That couldn't be, right? Yet, here it is. Frozen dinners by Chef Ramsay. This shit is wild. Have you ever seen Gordon Ramsay's Kitchen Nightmares? If there's anything I learned about Gordon Ramsay from that show, it's that he hates pretense.
You're not a fine dining bistro. You're a small man with a fake bistro.
Dirty kitchens.
That stinks.
Long wait times, and above all else, low quality frozen food.
It's frozen. We make 3 trays of lasagna at a time, and then we proportion them, and then we freeze.
So it's not fresh, that's what I'm trying to say.
It doesn't mean it's bad.
Candice, where are the shrimps fresh?
They're fresh frozen.
Fresh frozen.
I know it's kind of an oxymoron.
But you can buy fresh shrimp
Yes.
within a mile from
Yes, yes.
It's not uncommon to have frozen shrimp because some things are okay frozen.
So, what part of store-bought frozen food
do you think is good?
It's your salmon with the balsamic paint.
With the balsamic paint?
Yes.
Is the salmon fresh?
And I believe it's frozen as well.
You're kidding me. It's really rubbery. Is it frozen, the fish?
I believe it's frozen.
It is frozen? When you take a bite of that cod, it's almost like you've got a breaded condom in your mouth. Ooh, that's going straight to the trash.
Okay.
Oh my God.
Spaghetti and meatballs?
Spaghetti meatballs. Fresh meatballs or frozen? Frozen. Oh, come on.
Everything is frozen?
Look at that now inside, how rubbery it looks, even before tasting it. Man, look at that, how dry that is. Dry, disgusting, frozen meatballs.
So how in the hell did this happen?
Trust me, there's nothing quite like bringing quality dishes to the comfort of your very own home. That's why I am so excited to announce my new line of gourmet frozen dishes exclusively available across Walmart stores nationwide.
This particular frozen dinner is manufactured and distributed by Golden West Food Group in Vernon, California, right by the LA River and about 15 minutes from downtown Los Angeles. Doesn't this place look appetizing? Founded in 1970, Golden West Food Group began as a meat processing plant that has expanded over the years into lots of different licensed brands. Their bread and butter seems to be a line of Jack Daniel's meats, which are essentially pre-cooked barbecue products. In other words, slop, which utilizes the Jack Daniel's brand of barbecue sauce for its flavor. But more recently, Golden West Food Groups has expanded heavily into frozen dinners, promoting various celebrities and celebrity chefs from the likes of Taylor Swift's boyfriend, Cardea Brown, Guy Flavortown Fieri, and of course, the king of all celebrity chefs himself, Gordon Ramsay, the star of Kitchen Nightmares, Hell's Kitchen, Master Chef, Hotel Hell, and at least one YouTube video where he somehow failed to make a freaking grilled cheese sandwich.
A nice, spicy texture.
The Gordon Ramsay line of frozen dinners is simply called by Chef Ramsay, and it seems to be wholly independent of Ramsay's restaurant chains, of which there are many. Gordon Ramsay Burger, Gordon Ramsay Fish and Chips, Gordon Ramsay Food Market at the Cherokee Casino and Resort, Gordon Ramsay Pub and Grill in Las Vegas.
There are so many delicious appetizers here that you've got to try at least one.
The Gordon Ramsay Steakhouse, a pizzeria in Washington, D.C., Hell's Kitchen, and finally, Ramsay's Kitchen. In 2025, Gordon Ramsay had roughly 32 restaurant locations spread out over these brands in the U.S. alone. And they all cater to a wide variety of styles, tastes, and preferences, especially burgers and fries, mostly for American tourists, actually. Gordon Ramsay seems to be absolutely enamored with hamburgers, Las Vegas, Atlantic City, and touristy kitsch in general. Ramsay's restaurants, even the most expensive ones, are the culinary equivalent to cargo shorts and Teva sandals. They're basically like Margaritaville, but for people who can afford to eat $80 worth of beef Wellington. Yes, beef Wellington is a rare done piece of beef tenderloin that's been baked in a puff pastry and served with gravy and a side of potatoes. It's Ramsay's signature dish, it's what earned him his Michelin star rated credentials, and it's featured heavily in many of his restaurants. So I find it odd that beef Wellington isn't actually part of Golden West Foods' Gordon Ramsay frozen dinner selection.
Not anymore.
There is, however, quite a wide selection to choose from. Where I'm at, in Texas,
I remember the Alamo.
The local Walmart carries Gordon Ramsay's shepherd's pie, lasagna, mac and cheese, and fish and chips. The selection at H-E-B, my preferred store, is even better. Shepherd's pie, slow roasted beef, lemon caper chicken, and chicken pot pie. No beef Wellington, all frozen, and 100% made in a factory in Vernon, California. But what do these things actually taste like? Maybe frozen dinners by Chef Ramsay are a cut above the rest. I had to find out. So I went ahead and bought Gordon Ramsay's shepherd's pie from H-E-B for like $6. And here it is. This is Shepherd's Pie by Gordon Ramsay, or rather, Golden West Food Group. I personally don't care much for this presentation. You've got a blue box with Gordon Ramsay, and as always, he looks annoyed, or maybe just bored, and then you have a photoshopped image of the dish itself. But notice that it says here in the product description, ground beef with peas and carrots topped with cheesy mashed potatoes. Here is a sure sign that this product was in fact created by Golden West Food Group and not the real-life Gordon Ramsay, because Gordon Ramsay would never serve a shepherd's pie made of ground beef.
And that gravy is made from?
Beef.
Beef stock on a shepherd's pie. So it's a cottage pie, not a shepherd's pie, because shepherd stands for the sheep.
You see, shepherd's pie is traditionally made with lamb. It's lamb that makes a shepherd's pie. And boy, does Gordon Ramsay hate it whenever people get that wrong.
Minced lamb. Minced lamb. Proper shepherd's pie has 100% lamb in there.
So not only are we dealing with frozen food, a Gordon Ramsay no-no, but we've also got the wrong recipe. Wow, we're not off to a very good start here, are we? Then looking at the ingredients list, we see that it's mainly potatoes, and the inclusion of potato flakes here would indicate to me that these are going to be from a giant vat of instant potatoes. Hungry yet? Let's open her up and see what the actual shepherd's pie looks like. It's kinda tiny for costing $6 and being 500 calories. And so we microwave it as per the instructions, and after about 6 minutes, voila! 1/2 portion of a beef-based shepherd's pie. Well, isn't that lovely? It doesn't look anything like the picture, I'll tell you that. It doesn't even look like food. It looks like Freddy Krueger's burnt, half-melted ass. It's a total freaking nightmare. But how does this beef shepherd's pie actually taste? For the sake of useful comparison, I present to you my own shepherd's pie, which will easily feed my wife and our 5 children, some of whom are hungry teenagers that can eat like freaking sumo wrestlers. Look at them go! Gordon Ramsay's shepherd's pie, on the other hand, is barely enough to feed my 5-year-old. That's $6 to feed one kid. That's not crazy, but it's kind of a bad value, especially considering the fact that it's mostly instant potatoes with some cheese and ground beef. My shepherd's pie, on the other hand, consists of the following ingredients: freshly peeled russet potatoes, Tillamook white cheddar, Danish fontina, Mexican sour cream, butter, fresh cut onion, carrots, a secret blend of herbs and spices, frozen peas, actual freaking lamb, and of course, a big ass bottle of Cabernet Sauvignon. Mostly for me to enjoy while I'm cooking, but also partly in order to deglaze my roux. My fancy recipe makes an absolutely massive amount of shepherd's pie, and it could easily feed 12 people a hearty portion of shepherd's pie. The downside? Well, it took me an extra 20 minutes to find and gather all the appropriate ingredients at the grocery store, and the bill was very high. This mashed potato monstrosity cost me like $96, which is like $8 a serving. That's $2 more expensive than Chef Gordon Ramsay's goopy frozen abomination over here. To be fair though, I went all out in order to impress my family, so I went a little overboard at the store. However, I think a reasonably good cottage pie is a possible alternative to what I've just baked here. If I drop the costly bottle of wine, swap the fancy cheeses out for something more basic, replace the lamb with ground beef.
Where's the beef?
And then maybe it doesn't really need fresh cut chives on top of it.
Cha-ching!
Then my recipe would have cost just under $50, or about $4 a serving, making it $2 cheaper than Gordon Ramsay's frozen version. Of course, that's still not quite right, because after all, a frozen shepherd's pie only takes minutes to microwave. 6 minutes in this case. And I had to cook a whole shepherd's pie from scratch. That includes chopping and prepping all these ingredients, cooking all of these ingredients, deglazing it with red wine, deglazing myself with red wine, and all while I've got to boil this big ass pot of potatoes, grate all these fussy fancy cheeses, sample them with some more wine, and then after everything, I still have to put everything together and then bake it in the oven for like 45 more minutes at 350 degrees, or at least until the potatoes are golden brown delicious. This process should take at most 90 minutes, but then factor in the reality that now you're gonna have to have a kitchen to clean up and a bunch of dishes to wash. Who in the hell's kitchen's got time for all this? So the real question is, how do I have the time to make a homemade shepherd's pie from scratch? On the other hand, feeding my family a frozen dinner would take 6 minutes times 7, which of course comes out to 42 minutes of microwave time. That's enough microwaving to cook a 6-pound Thanksgiving turkey. Gobble, 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 gobble. 42 minutes of microwaving is absurd, but that's still less than half the time it takes to do all this shopping and cooking and finally cleaning. Frozen shepherd's pie by Chef Ramsay comes in a nice disposable little cardboard bowl, so cleanup is as simple as throwing away some trash. So, Gordon Ramsay's frozen shepherd's pie is maybe a little bit cheaper and far more convenient than making your own at home. But none of that really matters if it tastes bad. This is, after all, supposed to be some kind of gourmet entree, right? Oh, what's that? It's not? It's the British equivalent to eating meatloaf? My mistake then, but at the very least, we ought to admit that with Gordon Ramsay's mean old mug on there, it really ought to be better than your mom's shepherd's pie. Or at the very least, my shepherd's pie, right? I ain't got no Michelin stars. I don't even have Michelin tires. So without further ado, let the taste test begin. Once again, this is shepherd's pie by me, some random dude from Texas, and this is shepherd's pie by renowned celebrity chef Gordon Ramsay. We were originally going to do a blind taste test here, and I was going to have each of my kids guess which one was which and then give me a score and all that, but not after my wife and I took the first bite of Ramsay's frozen version. After we tasted it, we wouldn't even let our kids have any because it was, without exaggeration, the worst thing I've ever put in my mouth that was supposedly intended to be swallowed as food. Neither of us could even swallow this stuff. We had to spit it out. It was that unbelievably horrible. First of all, it's 80% cheap instant potatoes with some kind of cheese flavoring. It's weak, watery, and there were no hearty vegetables whatsoever. No peas or carrots, no color, no life. It says they exist on the packaging, but there were none that I could find in reality. I did, however, garnish the bowl with fresh chives as a joke, and that at least added a little color. Isn't that fancy? The other main ingredient is some kind of meat product. The packaging says beef, but I don't think it's even ground beef. But rather, it looks like some kind of lump of gritty, greasy LFTB, or lean, finely textured beef, which you might know from popular media as pink slime. Pink slime. I think that's what it is, because of its characteristically fine, gritty texture and the fact that it tasted like oily dog food. No shit, this meat product tasted exactly like dog food, covered in watery instant potatoes and the cheese flavoring that goes inside of bagged, pre-made popcorn. I tasted it and spit it out several times to test whether or not I was losing my mind, because it was so bad it kind of ruined my dinner. My shepherd's pie, on the other hand, well, it turned out really good. My kids think I'm a culinary genius for this. But the truth is, shepherd's pie is a really, really easy dish to make, and anyone with good, basic ingredients can make one. If you know how to saute food in a pan or boil potatoes, then you can make a great shepherd's pie. But I think this product right here is so disgustingly bad that I honestly think that it shouldn't be sold in stores for like human consumption. How could Gordon Ramsay let this happen to his brand and legacy? How could he put his name on such a bad product that has the audacity to call itself by Gordon Ramsay, as if this is his personal recipe that he formulated for mass production in some dingy LA factory? Has Gordon Ramsay sold out like Chef Skinner and Ratatouille? Or has his culinary empire simply grown too large and too impersonal to maintain the borders of his dignity and international reputation? Does Gordon Ramsay even know that such a product exists? After all, I seriously doubt he does his shopping at Walmart. I had to warn him. That's why I decided to contact Gordon Ramsay myself and let him know personally how unbelievably awful Golden West Foods' version of shepherd's pie by Gordon Ramsay really is, and that I thought it could damage his public image and reputation, even more than the time that he couldn't make a grilled cheese sandwich.
Oh my goodness me.
Overcooked on the bottom, crispy as and it looks like Gandhi's flip-flop.
Man, was that a bad look.
Tell you why, because a few years back I was in Tasmania making the most extraordinary idiot sandwich.
Anyway, so how does one contact Gordon Ramsay? I went to gordonramsay.com and then I scrolled down to the bottom of the page and found contact. And here we find information about all of the various aspects of Gordon Ramsay's vast food and media empire, including his press office. And there it is, the Gordon Ramsay Group contact information. The man's name has become a corporate conglomerate, and there's the address. I'm not going to post it on the internet, even though you could look it up yourself. I don't want to be accused of harassing Gordon Ramsay, but I will tell you it's in London, England, and I'll show you what it looks like in Google Maps. Wow, boy, that's a lot more modest looking than I thought it was going to be. Looking at this area here, that looks like government housing right there. There's a scooter on the floor, graffiti everywhere. Is this the building? Does the Gordon Ramsay Group work next to a restaurant called the Chicken Cottage? Honestly, looking at the Chicken Cottage, it looks kinda good for what it is. I'd definitely rather eat here than a frozen dinner by Chef Ramsay. Anyway, here's the hyperlink to their email address, and here I go, emailing Gordon Ramsay at Gordon Enquiries. I'd read you my cordial and professional email, but it says essentially everything I've already said here in this video, and it would be pointlessly redundant, so I won't. However, I did get a response from Gordon Ramsay's company. Well, actually, it seems that my message was forwarded to Golden West Food Group customer service, but close enough. And here's what they said. Dear customer, thank you for your email and bringing this important matter to our attention. We sincerely apologize for the inconvenience. Please provide a clear photo of the use-by date and the lot code number of the package so we can investigate with our quality team. Well, fat chance of that. Obviously, I threw the box out after I cooked it. However, I'm pretty sure it wasn't expired. It was merely awful. Continuing. If you would like a refund, please provide your home address, store name, and amount paid. Keep in mind the refund check could take up to 4 months to arrive in the mail. Best regards, Golden West Foods Customer Service. So there you go. I got a generic automated response from Golden West Foods headquarters. If only I held onto the box, then I could have gotten my $6 back in up to 4 months. I think the real problem here has to do with the quality of the ingredients, not the freshness of a frozen food product. If Golden West Foods had made this for me to order at their factory and I took it home, piping hot, then I think it probably would still taste like dog food covered in instant potatoes. It would still be, unequivocally, the worst thing I've ever eaten. But does anyone else out there agree with us about the quality of Gordon Ramsay's frozen food line? Has anyone else tried the so-called shepherd's pie? I've looked online and I found that reviews for these products are mixed. Some YouTubers have given these products suspiciously high praise.
Not bad, huh? Not bad at all. It's a bowl of slop, but it's very flavorful, tastes good slop. It's good if slop. You're getting microwave meals, you're gonna be very happy with this. Where's my Mountain Dew?
While a lot of the normies note similar criticisms to the ones that we've highlighted here. I wonder what's going on here. For example, in 2024, That Dude Can Cook did a complete overview of the entire By Gordon Chef Ramsay line, in which they overwhelmingly gave these products favorable reviews. This included the shepherd's pie, which they enthusiastically described as flavorful and delicious.
Hey, not bad, huh?
But they never mentioned the weird gamey flavor, the strange texture, or how disgustingly oily and watery it was at the same time. How can this be? Looking at their version of the product, I'm struck by how different it looks from what we had. Here's a side-by-side comparison. Ours was literally a steaming pile, but with theirs, you can see that the potatoes have been neatly laid out in the bowl with a star-shaped piping bag in 6 neat little places. This leads me to believe that either that dude can cook has a specially prepared sample to work from, or that something was actually maybe wrong with ours. Or even perhaps Golden West Foods had simply changed its recipe? That's not to say their sample looks very good, it really doesn't, but you can tell it was a little bit more put together. Did we just get really unlucky? Do I need to waste another $6 on one of these frozen dinners by Ramsay? I certainly don't want to, but for the sake of science, I have to. So I went back to our local H-E-B weeks later and bought another shepherd's pie and 2 more entrees by Chef Ramsay that are supposedly on the higher end of the spectrum. Slow roasted beef in a wine sauce and lemon caper chicken. Further, in order to test the hypothesis that frozen food is intrinsically awful, which is frequently implied by Gordon Ramsay himself, I bought a lasagna made by H-E-B, which you can see here. Just look at how much more attractive this H-E-B packaging is than the lazy Photoshop job that they gave Gordon Ramsay. It's like night and day. First, let's examine the shepherd's pie, and as you can see, it looks about the same as it did before, and it looks and smells more about the same after. It looks like dog shit. However, I can definitely see a few more peas and carrots this time, which gives it a bit more color. As for the taste, I have to admit that this particular sample was a little bit better. It's still really greasy, leaving a disgusting filmy sensation in my mouth, but the meat was less gamey this time around. The meat reminded me of other canned products that I'm used to, like Chef Boyardee meatballs. Yeah, that's what this sample tastes like to me. A can of tomatoey Chef Boyardee meatballs covered in watery instant mashed potatoes. That's still pretty disgusting, but at least it's a step up from dog food. Let's just get this out of the way, and next, let's look at the slow roasted beef with wine sauce. This is what the package looks like, and here it is while it's still frozen. And this is the final dish after it's been cooked for 6 minutes in the microwave. Now doesn't that look appetizing? It certainly looks better than the shepherd's pie. And flavor-wise, it's about on par with the shepherd's pie. The wine sauce is overwhelmingly salty, and the beef, which is brisket, is tough and chewy. It's like eating jerky. The little herbed potatoes that they threw in are honestly the best part of this concoction. I wouldn't want to ever eat beef in a wine sauce by Gordon Ramsay ever again, but if I was starving and freezing in a trench during like the Battle of Verdun, then I would have definitely welcomed a hot hearty bowl of rubbery brisket in salty slop sauce over some boiled potatoes. Yum yum yum. Well, it's better than eating rats, that's for darn sure. We'll just put this where it belongs. Finally, let's take a look at the lemon caper chicken. This is what the box looks like. Here it is before we cooked it, and this is how it finally looks after 6 minutes in the microwave. Absolutely revolting. To be fair, the lemon caper chicken by far had the best presentation. You can see some actual color, other than brown or gray, and the chicken admittedly looks like a proper piece of food sitting there drenched in a caper sauce. It smells alright too. But the texture of this chicken is just awful. On the outside, the breading is a slimy, sloppy mess. Very unappetizing, and of course, as you'd expect from a piece of microwave chicken breast, the meat is rubbery and dry. However, you can see from these striations that this is in fact a real piece of chicken and not just processed goo. So that's something. They also threw in the exact same herbed potatoes from the beef and wine sauce. And as for the flavor, well, the lemon caper chicken is by far the best tasting of the three. It tastes essentially like a giant dry chicken McNugget that's been covered in a tangy caper sauce. The broccoli, on the other hand, is just watery, flavorless goo. And the potatoes are fine. It's not good. I don't ever want to eat this again, but it's a step above dog food, Chef Boyardee, or trench food. I'd say the lemon caper chicken would make competent hospital food. Yes, if I were in the hospital, this is exactly what I'd expect them to serve me. But don't get me wrong, it still really sucks. Into the trash with you as well. And how about that H-E-B lasagna? Well, here it is, and it's not bad. I'm not gonna lie, it's nowhere near as good as homemade lasagna. The noodles are a bit too mushy and the whole thing's really salty. But overall, they used quality ingredients, and my family actually enjoyed eating this thing. I wouldn't even think of giving the Gordon Ramsay dinners to my kids. They're absolutely horrible. Even if my H-E-B lasagna showed me that they really didn't even have to be. Gordon Ramsay could have produced good frozen dinners if he wanted to. At the same time, I wonder if Gordon Ramsay himself is even aware of the existence of this stuff. Is it possible that people who work for him simply went ahead and did this without his full awareness? After all, Ramsay is a busy man, owning dozens of restaurants worldwide and constantly making television appearances. But then here's a commercial depicting Gordon Ramsay rolling up in a fancy car to a supermarket in order to sell Welch's fruit snacks, a gelatinous candy made for kids, under the pretense that it somehow counts as eating actual fruit.
Welch's are made with whole fruit as the main ingredient. They are the real deal.
He made this commercial, unironically, so maybe Gordon Ramsay really does know what's going on. That would be really disappointing. Well, prepare to be disappointed, because I found an article in Business Wire from September 5th, 2023, announcing that Chef Gordon Ramsay launches delicious new frozen entree line. Effectively, this entire article is just a press release formally announcing the new frozen food brand by Golden West Foods. But within the article, we get a quote that is alleged to have come from Gordon Ramsay himself. And if it's true, well, it's damning. Ramsay says, "I'm elated to bring my favorite dishes into homes across the country. These recipes are representative of my lifelong work and commitment to incredible taste and quality, and they each represent a special part of my culinary journey. It thrills me that these dishes are so widely available for anyone to experience, and I hope they inspire the home chef in everyone." Boy, nothing inspires home cooking like heating up food in the microwave. What in the world is Gordon Ramsay talking about here? I refuse to believe that this version of shepherd's pie has anything to do, at all, with Ramsay's favorite dishes, or his so-called culinary journey. First of all, it isn't even a proper shepherd's pie. Once more, without any actual lamb, this would be a cottage pie, and Ramsay himself would be the first one to tell you. Just as he's pointed it out to clueless cooks in the US multiple times before.
Shepherd looks after sheep.
Oh,
shepherd's pie.
God.
A cottage pie is made with beef.
Second, Ramsay clearly says in his own shepherd's pie recipe video that there's nothing worse than a greasy shepherd's pie.
Nothing worse than a greasy shepherd's pie.
But this mess from Golden West was as greasy as it gets, both times. And let me ask you, does this look anything at all like the shepherd's pie Ramsay made for his recipe video? Gordon Ramsay's shepherd's pie doesn't use low-quality beef byproducts. He doesn't use instant potatoes. But these are real, fresh ingredients. As for this frozen monstrosity over here, there's no commitment to taste or quality. This thing has nothing to do with bringing quality food home to the masses. This is slop. This slop is just a shameless cash grab, and it's really disappointing. And as for the fact that the product is frozen, well, that's really not the point, and Gordon Ramsay knows this. Yes, it's true that Ramsay frequently harps on restaurants for using frozen ingredients. But the truth is, frozen food doesn't necessarily mean bad food, and frozen food is pretty much a necessary industry standard. It is possible to properly freeze, thaw, and prepare good ingredients. It's not always ideal, and it doesn't always apply to everything, but it is possible, and I seriously doubt that even Ramsay's own restaurants would even be able to function without relying upon at least some frozen ingredients. He's got multiple restaurants, for instance, in Las Vegas, in the middle of the barren wasteland. I'd venture to guess that without frozen food trucks, Ramsay would have virtually nothing to sell at those locations. You think this lobster risotto at Hell's Kitchen in Las Vegas is fresh from the sea and in season? Hell no! The truth is, Ramsay's beef with frozen food has always been a bunch of overdramatic bull, leveraged to turn his audience against whatever poor rube winds up airing out their dirty kitchens on one of his heavily manipulated reality TV shows.
How old is that?
I don't know.
Look at the color of the chicken. Green and stinking.
And maybe that's just the way it is with everything this guy does. Maybe the positive spin here is to just dismiss all of this as mere entertainment. But that's really hard to do because after all, the man's persona is deeply rooted in what's supposed to be a legitimate legacy of awards and accolades that supposedly means something real.
How to properly fillet fish. Gordon Ramsay. Incorrect. Actual fishmonger. Correct. Gordon Ramsay. Separately sawing off the bone. Incorrect. Actual fishmonger. Flips over the fish, slashes off the new side, and does not separately saw off the bone. Winner. Fishmonger. Loser. Gordon Ramsay.
But I guess those same accolades don't even mean that you have the capacity to make a grilled cheese sandwich?
First of all, how long have you been cooking?
Since.
Has anyone got an ounce of training? Oh, were you trained in the industry?
No, not at all.
Are you trained, David?
I've been around, sir.
What does any of that matter if you can't make a grilled cheese sandwich and if you're willing to sell slop in a box and put your face on it just to make a quick buck? On second thought, Gordon Ramsay isn't quite Chef Skinner, but he's possibly a lot worse. Because I venture to guess that Chef Skinner's frozen foods would have actually tasted good. I know this is possible because I've eaten good frozen food lots of times. It's possible. What's not possible is for Gordon Ramsay to put this shit out there and then simultaneously claim that this slop represents his culinary legacy, as if he gave Golden West Foods access to his most cherished recipes and then personally oversaw their creation. What a hoax. What a letdown. What a joke. So, have any of you ever tried frozen food by Gordon Ramsay? What do you think of this famous Scottish chef? Has he sold out like Chef Skinner, or is he just a clever businessman? Or maybe he's just a television personality after all, more fictional character than a real-life person. Please let us know what you think and more in the comments. And thank you very much for watching Creative Cat Productions. Bye-bye now.